Our next question is going to come from Tim about social media.
Yeah, as a parent, I'm concerned with social media's negative impact on children. As a parent yourself, how do we keep our children safe with it now being an integral part of our everyday lives?
I'll tell you, we have 6, 5, and 3, and we have not given them any social media, but our kids can just grab my wife's phone and they just know how to get on and start doing all this stuff. I mean, I'll walk into the living room and my son is 5 and he's just asking Siri about football scores and stuff like that. And he asks about every single NFL game every Saturday or every Sunday and all the college games on Saturday. So, but I think when you look at things like TikTok and stuff and the other social media, it is not good to have kids buried in this stuff for hours and hours a day. And so I think we need to empower parents to be able to have more tools at their disposal to be able to make decisions where they can make sure their kids are protected from some of that stuff. You know, as parents, like my wife always jokes that our kids, when they're old enough, they are not getting a smartphone, they're getting a flip phone. So if they need to get to the parents, they can flip it up and they can call. But we do not want them on that all the time. And I think, so it's interesting. I did a teacher's Bill of Rights in Florida that we worked the legislature on. And when I announced it, I said, you know, what's wrong with going to class, putting your phone in a cubby, sitting in class, and actually doing it? And, you know, some of the left media was saying, oh, that's a fascist thing, all this stuff. And I'm like, give me a break. So we did it. One of our most liberal school districts in Central Florida, Orange County, they said no phones. And now they're reporting like kids are learning again and all this stuff. So I think in terms of like the school systems, I don't think they should be on their phones at all. And whether that means put it in a cubby, you can use it at recess, or just not allow it on at all. And that's not a federal decision, but that is clearly going in a better direction. And to have them buried in these things is not good. I also want kids to be interacting. You know, when I was a kid, we were outside. We were out playing baseball, playing football, doing all this stuff. And yes, we had video games and stuff, so it wasn't like we never did anything electronic. But to live and die on social media, that is not healthy for this country. And we will empower parents to the extent we can, consistent with the law and the Constitution, for them to be able to make sure that their kids are having productive childhoods.
When you were on the debate stage, there was a talk around TikTok and whether or not, if you were president, you would want to ban it. President Trump, when he was in office, had talked about banning TikTok, but didn't actually do a ban. There's been talk about it in Congress. Do you think that's possible from a federal, you know, can the federal government ban TikTok, and would you want to do that?
I think you could, yeah. And I said I think it should be.
How
because,
do you do it?
Well, I think you'd probably need legislation. I don't think you can do it through executive order. I think you'd probably need legislation. But the issue is if you compare TikTok in America versus TikTok in China, it's wholesome in China. It's stuff that's actually not bad for kids. Here, China is putting poison into the bloodstream here to go after our youth. There's no question that they're doing that. They're also taking the data and they're mining the data of our own people. This is a hostile country. So I think this is a unique situation where there are really serious national security risks. China is, at the end of the day, there's a lot of problems in the world. I mean, we see Hamas in Israel. We talked about the war in Europe. But China is really the only peer competitor that we have. It's the most significant threat to America's way of life because they have an economy that almost rivals ours. They have a military that almost rivals ours. You know, during the Cold War, Soviet Union's economy was a fraction of our economy. Even during World War II, the Axis powers economy was not even close to the Allied powers economy. China is in it. They mean business. They want to be the dominant power in the entire world. They want to be able to dominate particularly the Pacific and the economy in the Pacific and with the shipping. And if they're able to do that, they're going to impose their worldview as a cost of doing business. Social credit scores, internet policing, all these other things. So they have a very sophisticated view of how to get there. So things like TikTok, they go, for example, with the farmland. They set up things in universities called Confucius Institutes, which spread CCP propaganda. I eliminated that in Florida, but you have it in other states. So they use whatever crevice they can do to impose their will. They are doing that, and they've been very effective. So we just have to recognize that. We have to recognize that this is a significant issue, and we should take action accordingly. And I think there'll be a lot of places in Congress. Now, Congress being what it is, as this debate has unfolded, some people have put out legislation which is like way, way overboard. I don't want to go overboard. I don't want a government regulating things that you're doing in America. I think it needs to be focused on something that's a foreign intelligence threat to this country.